Imagine, tomorrow morning, you wake up and without forcing yourself, you get out of bed. You exercise without negotiating. You pick up a book instead of your phone. You finish what you start. You stop procrastinating. You become calm when life gives you every reason not to be. You become disciplined without depending on motivation. Impossible. Then let me ask you something. If millions of people genuinely want to change, why do so few actually succeed? Why do New Year's resolutions disappear within weeks? Why do gym memberships become donations? Why do diets fail? Why do successful people sabotage themselves? Why do intelligent people keep repeating the same mistakes again and again? What if the problem was never laziness? What if the problem was never discipline? What if the problem was never motivation? What if, for your entire life, you've been trying to solve the wrong problem? A few years ago, a book quietly changed the conversation around habits across the world. That book was Atomic Habits by James Clear. This episode is inspired by the powerful ideas explored in that book. But this is not a summary. This is not an audiobook. This is beyond the book. Because reading a great book is one thing. Living its deepest ideas is something entirely different. Today, we're going beyond the pages. We'll connect those ideas with modern neuroscience, psychology, behavioral science, human decision-making, and the invisible patterns that quietly control almost every action you take. If you've already read Atomic Habits, you'll discover connections, perspectives, and insights you probably never noticed before. And if you've never read it, don't worry. You don't need to. Because this journey isn't about understanding a book. It's about understanding yourself. Think about the last promise you made to yourself. I'll start from Monday. I'll wake up early. I'll stop wasting time. I'll control my anger. I'll exercise. I'll read every day. I'll finally change. For a few days, everything feels different. You feel motivated, focused, excited. You genuinely believe, this time, it's going to be different. Then, without warning, life quietly returns to normal. One missed morning, one unnecessary scroll, one excuse, one skipped workout, one emotional decision, one small compromise. Nothing dramatic. Yet somehow, a few weeks later, you're standing exactly where you started. Why? Why does this happen? Even to people with extraordinary dreams, even to intelligent people, even to hard-working people, even to people who desperately want a different life. Here's what I believe. We've been asking the wrong questions. We've asked, how do I become disciplined? How do I stay motivated? How do I build better habits? Maybe those were never the real questions. Maybe the real question is, who is the person that keeps choosing those habits? Because habits don't exist on their own. They are created by a mind, a nervous system, an identity, an invisible operating system that has been quietly running your life for years. Imagine trying to change the direction of a river without changing its source. Imagine repainting the leaves of a dying tree while ignoring its roots. Imagine replacing the speedometer in a car while never repairing the engine. That's exactly how most people try to change their lives. They fight behavior. They ignore the system creating it. And that's exactly what we're going to change today. Not by giving you another motivational speech, not by asking you to become stronger, not by handing you another list of habits. Instead, we're going to travel into the invisible world, where habits are born, where identities are built, where decisions are made, and where destinies quietly begin. Because once you understand what has been silently controlling your life, you stop fighting yourself. And the moment you stop fighting yourself, real transformation finally becomes possible. For a moment, forget everything you've ever learned about habits. Forget motivation. Forget discipline. Forget morning routines. Forget productivity hacks. Because none of those are your real problem. Your real problem is invisible. Imagine walking into a hospital. A patient has a very high fever. The doctor looks at the thermometer, smiles, breaks it, and says, "Congratulations, the fever is gone." Ridiculous, isn't it? Breaking the thermometer doesn't remove the illness. It only removes the evidence. Yet this is exactly how most people try to change their lives. They attack the symptom instead of understanding the system creating the symptom. Procrastination is a symptom. Overthinking is a symptom. Anger is a symptom. Laziness is a symptom. Low confidence is a symptom. Even success, believe it or not, can sometimes be a symptom. The real question has never been, what is happening? The real question is, what is producing what's happening? Imagine standing beside a beautiful river. You suddenly notice hundreds of dead fish floating downstream. Naturally, people jump into the water, trying to save them, trying to pull them out, trying to clean the river. Hours pass. Everyone is exhausted. Then one little girl quietly asks, "Has anyone gone upstream to see what's poisoning the water?" Silence. That's the question almost nobody asks in life. We spend years fighting consequences while ignoring causes. We fight unhealthy eating without asking why food became emotional comfort. We fight procrastination without asking why starting feels emotionally unsafe. We fight distraction without asking what we're trying to escape. We fight negative thinking without asking who taught our brain to think that way. The invisible problem is never the behavior. The invisible problem is the system quietly producing that behavior. Think about your own life. Have you ever said, "I don't know why I did that"? Of course you have. Everyone has. Interesting. How can someone perform an action without fully understanding why they performed it? Because not every decision is made consciously. In fact, most aren't. Your conscious mind loves to believe it's the CEO of your life. But neuroscience tells a different story. Much of your daily behavior is driven by automatic patterns, predictions, emotional memories, and subconscious shortcuts that were created long before you became aware of them. Imagine an airplane. Passengers sit comfortably inside, looking out the windows, talking, eating, watching movies. Most of them never think about the cockpit, yet every direction, every adjustment, every landing is decided there. Your conscious thoughts are like the passengers. Your subconscious operating system is the cockpit. And here's the problem. Most people spend their lives talking to the passengers while completely ignoring the pilot. No wonder they keep arriving at destinations they never intended to reach. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever driven home and suddenly realized you don't even remember the last 10 minutes of the journey? Your hands were steering, your feet were changing gears, your eyes were watching the road, yet your mind was somewhere else. Who was driving? Your subconscious. The same system drives much more than your car. It drives your habits, your reactions, your confidence, your fears, your relationships, your spending, your eating, even the way you talk to yourself. And unless you understand that invisible driver, you'll spend your entire life blaming the steering wheel. Most people don't need more motivation. They need more awareness. They don't need another planner. They need another perspective. Because once you see the invisible system, you can no longer unsee it. And from that moment onward, your life begins to change. Not because you suddenly became stronger, but because, for the very first time, you finally stopped fighting the smoke and started looking for the fire. Now that we've uncovered the invisible problem, it's time to meet the invisible machine that's creating it. The most sophisticated technology on Earth isn't your smartphone. It isn't artificial intelligence. It isn't quantum computing. It's the 3-pound organ sitting quietly inside your skull, the human brain. The strange thing is, most people spend years learning how to use a phone, how to drive a car, how to operate software. Yet they never learn how the machine controlling their entire life actually works. Imagine buying the world's most advanced supercomputer without ever reading its operating manual. Would you expect to use even 10% of its potential? Probably not. Yet that's exactly how most of us live. We expect extraordinary lives, while remaining strangers to the machine creating those lives. The first thing you need to understand is this. Your brain has only one primary responsibility, not success, not happiness, not confidence, not productivity. Its first responsibility is survival. Everything else comes later. Thousands of years ago, your ancestors didn't worry about promotions. They worried about predators, food, shelter, belonging. Every brain that survived passed its wiring to the next generation, which means the brain inside your head today is not optimized for modern success. It's optimized for ancient survival, and that changes everything. Imagine you're walking through a forest. Suddenly, you hear something move behind a bush. Your heart beats faster. Your muscles tighten. Your breathing changes. Interesting. The brain didn't wait for proof. It predicted danger first. Because in evolution, a false alarm was cheaper than a fatal mistake. That same prediction system still operates inside you today. Only the predators have changed. Today, the lion has become an interview, a business presentation, a difficult conversation, a social media post, a camera pointed at your face, a new business, a new relationship, a bold decision. Your brain reacts as if survival itself is at stake. Not because it is, because prediction always comes before reality. Here's something fascinating. The brain doesn't experience reality directly. It experiences predictions about reality. Imagine wearing glasses with blue lenses since childhood. Everything you see appears slightly blue. After a while, you stop noticing the glasses. You simply believe the world is blue. Your beliefs work exactly like those glasses. Your brain doesn't ask, "What is reality?" It quietly asks, "What have we learned to expect?" If you've repeatedly experienced rejection, your brain begins predicting rejection. If you've repeatedly experienced failure, your brain begins predicting failure. If you've repeatedly broken promises to yourself, your brain predicts another broken promise. Not because it wants you to fail, because prediction keeps you safe. Think about your favorite route home. Even if another road is shorter, your brain often chooses the familiar one. Why? Less thinking, less uncertainty, less energy. Your brain is constantly trying to reduce effort. Automation is one of its greatest gifts and one of its greatest traps. The first time you drove a car, every movement required attention. Today, you can drive for miles while having a conversation. The behavior became automatic. Now ask yourself, if driving can become automatic, what else can? Self-doubt, confidence, kindness, anger, patience, procrastination, courage. Every repeated thought, every repeated emotion, every repeated behavior is slowly being automated. Until one day, it no longer feels like something you do. It feels like who you are, That is where habits are born. Not in your muscles, not in your calendar. Inside neural pathways that have been repeated so many times, the brain decides, we don't need to think about this anymore. And the moment that happens, your future begins running on autopilot. The question is, who programmed that autopilot? Was it you, your parents, your teachers, your environment, your repeated experiences, or perhaps all of them together? Because before you can redesign your future, you first have to understand the machine that has been quietly designing your present. And once you understand the machine, you stop blaming yourself. You start learning how to reprogram it. If there is one word that quietly controls almost every decision you'll ever make, it is this: identity. Not habits, not motivation, not discipline, identity. Because sooner or later, every human being behaves in a way that feels consistent with who they believe they are. Imagine meeting two people. You offer both of them a cigarette. The first person smiles and says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The second person smiles and says, "No thanks, I don't smoke." Did you notice the difference? The behavior is identical. The identity isn't. The first person is fighting a battle. The second person has already changed the person who's fighting it. That's the power of identity. Identity doesn't ask, "What should I do?" Identity quietly answers, "This is what people like me do." Think about your own life. Have you ever heard yourself saying, "I'm just not good with money. I'm not a morning person. I'm terrible with names. I'm an emotional person. I've always been like this." Interesting. Who decided that? Were you born believing those things, or did life slowly convince you? Imagine a blank notebook. The day you're born, every page is empty. No beliefs, no labels, no identity. Then, life begins writing. Parents write, teachers write, friends write, society writes, success writes, failure writes. Every compliment writes something. Every criticism writes something. Every repeated experience writes something. Slowly, without even noticing, you stop reading the notebook. You become the notebook. And one day, someone asks, "Who are you?" You don't answer with facts. You answer with stories. I am confident. I am shy. I am unlucky. I am disciplined. I am not creative. Those aren't facts. They're conclusions. And the brain has an interesting habit. Once it reaches a conclusion, it starts collecting evidence to protect it. Imagine buying a red car. The next day, you suddenly begin noticing red cars everywhere. Did the world buy more red cars overnight? No. Your attention changed. Identity works exactly the same way. If you believe, "I'm not confident," your brain begins searching for proof. One awkward conversation, evidence. One mistake, more evidence. One rejection, case closed. The identity becomes stronger. Now imagine the opposite. You begin believing, "I am becoming someone who keeps promises." Tomorrow, you wake up when the alarm rings. Evidence. You read 10 pages. Evidence. You choose water over soft drink. Evidence. Tiny actions, massive consequences. Because every action is casting a vote. Not for your future, for your identity. Most people think they repeat actions because of identity. The deeper truth is, every repeated action is also creating identity. It's a two-way conversation. Identity creates behavior. Behavior strengthens identity. Round and round. Day after day. Year after year. Now imagine trying to change only behavior while leaving identity untouched. It's like trying to change the reflection in a mirror without changing the person standing in front of it. Impossible. You don't become disciplined and then act differently. You begin acting differently until your brain finally whispers, "Perhaps this is who we are now." That's the moment everything changes. Because once your identity changes, discipline feels lighter. Consistency feels natural. growth stops feeling like effort. It starts feeling like truth. And here's the beautiful part. Identity is not discovered. Identity is designed, not in one dramatic decision, but in thousands of ordinary moments, when nobody is watching and you quietly choose one more action that aligns with the person you've decided to become. Because in the end, your life is never built by your biggest decisions. It is built by the identity those decisions slowly create. And once you understand that, you stop asking, what habit should I build? You begin asking a far more powerful question. Who must I become for these habits to feel completely natural? Now comes the question. If identity is so powerful, then how do habits actually work? Why is it that one small action, repeated over time, can completely transform a human life? And why do tiny habits that seem almost insignificant today become impossible to break tomorrow? To understand this, imagine you're walking through a dense forest. There is no path, only wild grass, trees, bushes. The first time you walk through it, it's difficult. You have to push branches aside. Your clothes get caught. You move slowly. The second time, it's a little easier. The third time, even easier. After 50 journeys, there's a visible path. After 100, everyone starts using it. Did the forest decide to create a road? No. Repetition did. Your brain works exactly the same way. Every thought is a step. Every action is another step. Every repeated emotion is another journey through the same forest. Eventually, your brain says, this route is efficient. This route saves energy. Let's make this the default. And just like that, a habit is born. Not because you chose it, because your brain optimized it. That's the first thing most people misunderstand. Habits are not created to improve your life. They are created to reduce your brain's workload. The brain is constantly asking, how can I do more? While thinking less. Habits are the answer. Now imagine you enter your house every evening. The light switch is always in the same place. One day, someone secretly moves it to the opposite wall without thinking. Your hand still reaches toward the old location. Interesting. Your conscious mind knows the switch is moved, but your nervous system is still following yesterday's map. That is exactly what happens with habits. The body often remembers before the conscious mind notices. This is why changing habits feels difficult. You're not fighting behavior, you're interrupting automation. And automation doesn't like being interrupted. Let's go one level deeper. Every habit, no matter how simple or complicated, follows the same invisible cycle. It begins with a signal. Something happens. You wake up. Your phone vibrates. You smell coffee. You walk into your kitchen. Someone criticizes you. Your brain notices something. That's the beginning. Then, almost instantly, your brain asks another question. What does this mean for me? That question creates desire, not necessarily because you want the object, because you want the feeling. You don't really want coffee. You want alertness. You don't really want social media. You want novelty. You don't really want chocolate. You want comfort. You don't really want applause. You want significance. The behavior is rarely the goal. The emotional experience is. Once the desire becomes strong enough, action follows. Sometimes that action lasts 3 seconds, sometimes 3 hours. Finally, the brain receives feedback. Did that behavior reduce discomfort? Did it create pleasure? Did it solve the problem? If the answer is yes, your brain quietly makes a note. Next time this happens, do this again. Now imagine this cycle repeating, not 10 times, not 100, but thousands of times. Eventually, Your brain stops asking permission. It simply starts the program. This explains something extraordinary. Most people think they choose their habits every day. The reality is, most habits are choosing them because the decision was made months or even years ago. Every repetition simply strengthened the pathway. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you debate it every morning? Probably not. You just do it. Now imagine if exercising, reading, planning your day, speaking calmly, saving money, and learning became just as automatic. Would your life look different? Of course. Not because you became more motivated, because your brain stopped negotiating. And here's the beautiful part. This same mechanism that created your current habits is the exact mechanism that can create your future ones. The brain doesn't care whether a habit is helping you or hurting you. It only asks one question. Have we repeated this often enough to make it automatic? If the answer is yes, it builds another path through the forest, which means every tiny action you repeat today isn't just changing today's behavior. It's quietly designing tomorrow's brain. And once you truly understand that, you stop underestimating small actions because you realize they were never small. They were architects, building the person you are becoming. Imagine this. Tonight, while you're asleep, someone quietly enters your house. They don't steal anything. They don't damage anything. They simply rearrange your entire home. When you wake up tomorrow, your toothbrush is in the kitchen. Your phone charger is in the bathroom. Your books are inside the wardrobe. Your shoes are beside your bed. Your refrigerator is in the living room. How long do you think it would take before your behavior changed? Probably within a single day. Not because you became a different person, because your environment started making decisions for you. This is one of the most underestimated truths about human behavior. Most people believe their decisions create their environment. In reality, their environment quietly creates most of their decisions. Look around the room you're sitting in right now. Don't think, just observe. Every object around you is giving your brain a suggestion. The television says, watch. The sofa says, relax. The bed whispers, lie down. Your phone quietly says, just check one notification. Your books patiently ask, read one page. Your water bottle reminds you, drink. Nothing speaks, yet everything communicates. Environment is silent persuasion. Imagine entering a casino. Have you ever noticed there are almost no clocks, very few windows, bright lights, pleasant sounds, comfortable chairs, free drinks? Every detail has been designed to make you stay longer. People think they're making free choices. The environment has already shaped those choices. Now compare that to a library. Soft silence, rows of books, people reading, minimal distractions. Nobody tells you to become focused. The environment does it for them. The same brain behaves differently because the surroundings changed. Now ask yourself, if I placed you in a gym for 3 hours every day, would you eventually exercise more? Probably. If I placed you in a room filled with musicians, would music begin influencing you? Almost certainly. If I placed you in a room where everyone complained all day, would your language slowly change without even noticing? Environment is more contagious than motivation. Think about children. They don't learn by listening. They learn by observing. Parents say, read books. Children watch their parents scrolling phones. Guess which lesson becomes stronger? Words or environment? The brain has always trusted evidence more than instruction. This is why changing your environment is often easier than changing your willpower. Imagine keeping a bowl of chocolates right in front of your desk. Every few minutes, your eyes notice it. Each glance becomes a tiny conversation. Maybe just one. You resist. Again. You resist. Again. By evening, your mental energy is exhausted. Now imagine, the chocolates don't exist. You don't need discipline, because temptation never arrived. Notice what changed. Not your character, your environment. Most people admire people with strong willpower. Very few realize the smartest people design environments that require less willpower. Now think beyond physical space. Your environment is not only your room, it is also your phone, your social media feed, your friends, your conversations, your favorite YouTube channels, the podcasts you listen to, the people you admire, the news you consume, the music you repeat. Every repeated input is slowly becoming part of your internal environment, and your internal environment eventually becomes your identity. Here's a question worth sitting with. If someone secretly watched everything entering your mind for the next 30 days, your conversations, your videos, your books, your thoughts, your relationships, would they accurately predict the person you'll become? Probably yes. Because environments don't merely surround people, they shape them. So perhaps the fastest way to change your future isn't trying harder. Perhaps it's making the right behavior, the easiest behavior. Make the book easier to reach than the phone. Make healthy food easier to reach than junk food. Make meaningful conversations easier to find than meaningless noise. Make learning easier than distraction. Make growth more visible than comfort. Because every environment is asking you a question, not with words, but with design. The question is, what kind of person will naturally emerge here? And if you answer that question wisely, your environment will begin working for you instead of quietly working against you. Imagine I give you a choice. Right now, this very moment, I offer you two options. Option one, I give you $10 million immediately, no questions asked. Option two, I give you one single rupee, but it doubles every day for the next 30 days. Most people smile and choose the 10 million. It feels logical, immediate, certain. But the person who understands compounding quietly chooses the second option because they understand something the human brain rarely does. Small things, when repeated long enough, stop behaving like small things. They become unstoppable. This is the greatest illusion of human life. We overestimate what we can do in one day, and we underestimate what we can become in 5 years. Think about the Grand Canyon. Millions of people visit it every year. They stand there, looking at its breathtaking beauty, massive cliffs, enormous depth, timeless magnificence. Now imagine someone asking, who carved this? Was it an explosion, an earthquake, one powerful event? No, a river, patiently flowing, day after day, year after year, century after century. The river never tried to impress anyone. It simply kept returning, and eventually, it carved stone. Perhaps that's exactly how transformation works. Not through dramatic effort, through relentless repetition. Now imagine two airplanes. Both leave the same airport. Both have the same destination. Just before takeoff, one pilot changes the direction by only 1 degree. 1 degree, almost invisible. Passengers don't notice. The crew doesn't notice. Even the pilot barely notices. But after several hours, that tiny 1 degree difference has taken the airplane to an entirely different country. Life compounds exactly like that. A tiny improvement, repeated long enough, creates a completely different future. A tiny neglect, repeated long enough, creates a completely different regret. The frightening part is, compounding works, whether you're paying attention or not. Every day, your habits are earning interest. Some habits pay you. Some habits charge you. The problem is, the brain loves immediate rewards, and compounding almost never gives immediate rewards. Go to the gym today. You won't see muscles tomorrow. Read 10 pages today. You won't become wiser tonight. Save a little money today. You won't become wealthy this week. Meditate once. Your life won't suddenly become peaceful. The brain says, this isn't working. Nature smiles and whispers, wait. Think about planting a mango tree. The first day, nothing. The first month, almost nothing. The first year, still small. If you judge the tree only by its first year, you'd probably cut it down. Yet the farmer doesn't, because the farmer understands seasons. Modern people understand deadlines. Nature understands seasons. And transformation always follows nature, not deadlines. There is another side to compounding, the dangerous side. No one becomes unhealthy overnight. No marriage breaks in one conversation. No business collapses because of one decision. No confidence disappears in a single morning. Everything compounds. Every ignored conversation, every broken promise, every unnecessary expense, every hour of distraction, every postponed dream, every excuse. They don't destroy you immediately. They simply begin collecting interest. Until one day, people call it bad luck. It wasn't luck. It was accumulated direction. Now imagine two friends. One reads 10 pages every day. The other scrolls social media for 30 extra minutes. Tomorrow, they're almost identical. Next week, still almost identical. Next month, still difficult to notice. 5 years later, they're living completely different lives. Not because one made one extraordinary decision, because one protected ordinary decisions long enough for compounding to reveal its magic. This is why consistency is far more valuable than intensity. Intensity creates stories. Consistency creates destinies. The world celebrates dramatic transformations. Nature rewards repeated behaviors. So perhaps your goal should never be to change your life today. Your goal should be to make one decision today that your future self will quietly thank you for thousands of times. Because every sunrise, whether you notice it or not, your habits wake up before you do. They begin collecting interest. The only question is, are they building your future or silently borrowing from it? And one day, without warning, the interest becomes visible. People call it success. People call it failure. Nature simply calls it compounding. Now comes the question. If good habits are so powerful, why do intelligent people keep falling back into old patterns? Why do people lose weight only to gain it back? Why do businesses grow and then suddenly collapse? Why do addictions return after months of progress? Why do confident people sometimes become insecure again? Why? Does relapse happen? Most people believe relapse is proof of weakness. It isn't. Relapse is proof that the old identity is still alive. Imagine you've lived in the same house for 30 years. One morning, you move into a beautiful new home. Everything is modern, comfortable, peaceful. But on the first evening, without thinking, you accidentally drive toward your old house. Interesting. Your conscious mind knows you've moved. Your nervous system is still following the old map. That is relapse, not failure. Old navigation. Think about learning to write. When you were a child, every letter demanded attention. Slowly, through repetition, writing became automatic. Now imagine someone asking you to write your signature with your opposite hand. It feels awkward, messy, slow. Not because you're incapable, because the old pathway is much stronger than the new one. Transformation works exactly the same way. The old neural highways don't disappear the day you build a new road. Both roads exist. The brain simply chooses the stronger one. Now, imagine a river. For hundreds of years, water has flowed through the same channel. One day, you decide to change its direction. Will the water obey immediately? Of course not. Again and again, it returns to the old path. Not because water is stubborn, because the old channel is deeper. Your habits behave exactly like that. Years of repetition have carved emotional rivers inside your brain. 1 week of motivation cannot erase 10 years of conditioning. This is why people become discouraged. They expect that one decision should erase a lifetime of repetition. Nature doesn't work that way. The brain doesn't work that way. Healing doesn't work that way. Growth doesn't work that way. Imagine climbing a mountain. Halfway up, you slip. Does that mean you're back at the bottom? No, you slipped. You're still halfway up. Then why do people think one bad day erases 100 good days? One unhealthy meal doesn't create obesity. One missed workout doesn't destroy fitness. One argument doesn't destroy love. One late morning doesn't destroy discipline. The danger isn't the mistake. The danger is the story you attach to the mistake. This proves I'll never change. This always happens. I knew I couldn't do it. The relapse lasts minutes. The story can last years. Imagine a pilot flying across the ocean. Do you know something remarkable? The airplane is almost never perfectly on course. Wind pushes it, weather changes, air pressure shifts. Throughout the journey, the pilot keeps making tiny corrections, again and again and again. Nobody calls those corrections failure. They call it navigation. Then why do we expect life to be different? Growth is navigation, not perfection. The question isn't, will you go off course? You will. The only meaningful question is, how quickly will you notice and gently return? That's resilience, not never falling, returning sooner. Here's something fascinating. The brain strengthens whatever follows failure. If failure is followed by shame, the brain remembers shame. If failure is followed by curiosity, the brain remembers learning. Same event, different future. Perhaps, instead of asking, why did I fail? Ask, what was my brain trying to protect? Were you tired, lonely, overwhelmed, afraid, seeking comfort, seeking certainty? Every relapse contains information. Treat it like a scientist, not like a judge. Scientists don't condemn experiments. They study them, improve them, repeat them. Maybe that's the mindset real transformation requires. Not the mindset of someone chasing perfection, but the mindset of someone quietly becoming an expert on their own mind. Because the people who ultimately transform are not the people who never relapse. They are the people who refuse to let one wrong turn become a reason to abandon the entire journey. So now, we arrive at the most important part of this entire journey. Not building habits, not changing behavior, not becoming more disciplined, something far more fundamental, rebuilding your identity. Because here's the truth, you will never permanently outperform the image you carry of yourself. You may force yourself for a week, You may push yourself for a month. You may even transform yourself for a year. But sooner or later, your subconscious quietly asks, is this really who we are? If the answer is no, it begins pulling you back, not because it's your enemy, because it's trying to protect consistency. Imagine an old house. The walls are cracked. The paint is fading. The windows are broken. You spend weeks repainting everything. It looks beautiful. Until the next rainy season. The cracks return. Why? Because the foundation was never repaired. Most people spend their lives repainting behavior. Very few rebuild the foundation. Identity is the foundation. Now imagine a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble. Someone asks, "What are you creating?" The sculptor smiles. "I'm not creating anything. I'm simply removing everything that isn't David." That answer contains one of the deepest truths about transformation. Perhaps you don't need to become someone new. Perhaps you simply need to remove everything that isn't really you. The fear that isn't yours. The labels that aren't yours. The opinions that aren't yours. The stories that aren't yours. The limits that were never yours. Imagine wearing someone else's shoes for 20 years. Eventually, they begin feeling normal. One day, someone gives you shoes that actually fit. At first, they feel strange, not because they're wrong, because you've become accustomed to discomfort. Many people live exactly like that. They've worn limiting beliefs for so long, they mistake them for personality. I'm shy. I'm unlucky. I'm always late. I'm not disciplined. I'm not a leader. Those aren't identities. They're habits of thought, repeated until they sounded like truth. Now let me ask you something. If those sentences disappeared tonight, who would you be tomorrow? Notice how your mind hesitates. That's because identity loves certainty, even painful certainty. Think about actors. For months, they completely immerse themselves in a character. They change their voice, their walk, their expressions, their emotions. Eventually, the role begins feeling natural. How? Repetition, emotion, immersion. Now imagine doing the same thing, not for a movie, but for your future self. What would that version of you believe? How would they speak? How would they make decisions? How would they respond under pressure? How would they treat people? How would they begin their mornings? Identity isn't created the day you believe it. Identity is created the day you repeatedly behave as if it is already true. Not pretending, practicing. There's a difference. Pretending says, I'm trying to fool myself. Practicing says, I'm training my nervous system. A pianist doesn't become a pianist the day they buy a piano. They become one through thousands of repetitions. A marathon runner doesn't wake up one morning with extraordinary endurance. They build it. One step, one breath, one run. Identity works exactly the same way. You don't wake up confident. You collect evidence. You don't wake up disciplined. You collect evidence. You don't wake up resilient. You collect evidence. Every kept promise is another brick. Every difficult conversation, another brick. Every moment you choose growth over comfort, another brick. Eventually, the building becomes so strong that the old identity has nowhere left to live. Now imagine yourself 5 years from today, not standing in front of a mirror, standing in front of your younger self. The person you are today asks, how did you become this calm? Your future self smiles. I stopped asking, what do I need to do? And I started asking, who do I need to become? Everything changed after that. Perhaps that single question is the bridge between the life you're living today and the life that's quietly waiting for you. Because habits may change your days, but identity changes your destiny. And once destiny begins changing, every small action stops feeling like effort. It starts feeling like home. We've spent this entire journey understanding your brain, understanding identity, understanding habits, understanding why people change and why they don't. But understanding alone never changes a life. Imagine reading 100 books about swimming. You memorize every technique, every breathing pattern, every stroke. You become an expert in theory. Then someone gently asks, "Can you swim?" You smile awkwardly. No. Knowledge without action is only entertainment. Transformation begins the moment knowledge becomes behavior. So before this journey ends, I want to help you install these ideas into your life. Not tomorrow, not next Monday. Today, right now, take a slow breath and ask yourself, who am I becoming through the choices I make every single day? Don't answer quickly. Sit with the question, because this question is more powerful than any productivity system you'll ever buy. Now, take out a notebook or open the Notes app on your phone. We're going to build something together, not a to-do list, an identity blueprint. At the top of the page, write one sentence. The person I am becoming. Don't write goals. Write qualities. Not, I want to earn more money. Write, I am becoming someone who creates value every day. Not, I want to lose weight. Write, I am becoming someone who respects my body. Not, I want to read 50 books. Write, I am becoming someone who learns every day. Notice the difference. Goals finish. Identity continues. Now ask yourself a second question. What is one tiny action that this person would naturally do every single day? One page, one push-up, 1 minute of meditation, one sincere thank you, one glass of water, one difficult conversation, one promise kept. Don't underestimate it. Remember, the brain builds identity through repetition, not through size. Next, remove one obstacle, not 10. 1. If your phone distracts you, don't promise to use it less. Move it out of reach while you work. If junk food tempts you, don't depend on willpower. Change your environment. If reading matters, place the book where your eyes will naturally see it. Make the right behavior, the easiest behavior. Now comes the most important exercise. Every night, before sleeping, ask yourself only one question. What evidence did I collect today for the person I want to become? Not, was today perfect? Perfection is impossible. Evidence is measurable. Maybe today, you stayed calm during one difficult conversation. Evidence, maybe you woke up when the alarm rang. Evidence, maybe you admitted a mistake instead of making an excuse. Evidence, maybe you simply tried again. Evidence, never allow your brain to end the day without showing it proof. That change is already happening because your subconscious doesn't transform through speeches. It transforms through evidence. Finally, I want you to make one promise, not to me, to yourself. Don't promise that you'll never fail again. Don't promise that you'll never miss a day. Don't promise that you'll always stay motivated. Promise something much simpler. Whenever I drift, I will return. That's it. Not perfection. Return. Not guilt. Return. Not shame. Return. Because extraordinary lives are not built by people who never lose their way. They're built by people who always know the way back. And perhaps that's the only promise you ever really needed. Not to become perfect, but to become someone who always returns to the person they have chosen to become. And here we are, at the end of this journey, or perhaps at the beginning of a completely different one. Because if you've truly listened, not just with your ears, but with your mind, something has already changed. Maybe not your habits, not yet. Maybe not your circumstances, not yet. But something much deeper, your awareness. And awareness is where every lasting transformation begins. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. Nothing outside has changed. The same room, the same phone, the same responsibilities, the same people, the same calendar. Yet, one thing is different. For the very first time, you realize that your future isn't waiting for motivation. It isn't waiting for Monday. It isn't waiting for the perfect plan. It has been quietly waiting for a different version of you. Not a richer version, not a smarter version, a more conscious version. A version that understands every choice is a vote. Every conversation is a vote. Every excuse is a vote. Every promise kept is a vote. Every morning, before the world speaks to you, you will cast your very first vote toward the person you were or toward the person you're becoming. And the beautiful thing is, life never asks you to change all at once. It only asks, what will you vote for today? Imagine your life as a giant sculpture. Every decision removes one tiny piece of marble. At first, nothing seems different. Weeks pass. Still difficult to notice. Months pass. A shape begins to appear. Years pass. People call it success. They admire the sculpture. They rarely understand that success was never created in one extraordinary moment. It was carved, one invisible decision at a time. Perhaps that is why so many people miss greatness. They keep searching for breakthroughs, while life keeps rewarding repetitions. Now, close your eyes, just for a moment. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from today. Not the version driven by fear, not the version trapped by excuses, the version that never stopped returning, the version that kept one more promise, read one more page, took one more step, made one more courageous decision. That future version looks at you, not with pride, but with gratitude, because every peaceful morning they now enjoy began with a decision you're making today. Every opportunity they now receive began with habits you're building today. Every relationship they now cherish began with conversations you're choosing today. Every success they now experience began long before anyone noticed. Then your future self says something so simple that it almost feels disappointing. I wasn't luckier than you. I wasn't more talented than you. I simply stopped negotiating with the person I wanted to become. Silence. Maybe that is the sentence your life has been waiting to hear. Not work harder. Not become perfect. Not never fail. Simply stop negotiating with the person you have already decided to become, because every negotiation keeps yesterday alive. Every commitment creates tomorrow. As this journey ends, I don't want you to remember every story, every metaphor, every idea. I want you to remember just one truth. Your life is not built on the days you feel inspired. It is built on the ordinary days when no one is watching and you quietly choose to become the person your future is waiting for. One decision, one promise, one conversation, one habit, one day at a time. That is how identities are built. That is how destinies are written. That is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives. And perhaps years from now, when someone asks you, what changed everything? You'll smile Not because one book changed your life, not because one video changed your life, but because one ordinary day, you finally understood that you were never trying to change your habits. You were learning how to change the person who chooses them. Thank you for giving me your time. But even more importantly, thank you for giving your future self a chance to exist. And remember, every sunrise is quietly asking you the same question. Who are you becoming today? Because in the end, that is the only question that ever really mattered.